The recession is over, and economies across the globe are awakening to a new reality. The recoveries are uneven, and the United States isn't the fastest-growing economy. The U.S. is still the largest economy, but countries like China and India are growing quickly. The breadth of the growth gap between rich and poor nations has surprised economists, and few see it narrowing.
In the past, countries like China and India have tended to depend on the United States and other Western countries for their growth. They would grow at a faster pace than we did, but they'd grow in tandem. When we grew, they'd grow. What's happening now is they have generated their own internal engines of growth, and they don't need us as much as they used to.
Those internal engines of growth are powered by local workers. Last year, General Motors sold more cars in China than in the U.S., and aside from a small fraction, nearly all were built in China.
The highest growth area over the next 10, 20, 30 years, that being Asia, and China being the epicenter of that growth.
Growth in emerging markets now has a far bigger impact on the world's economic performance than it did 30 years ago. The developing world share of global economic output has risen from 18% in 1980 to 26% last year. But for all its benefits, fast growth is causing problems in developing countries. Surging demand for commodities, oil, grain, steel, is pushing prices even higher.
I don't think China can sustain the growth, and I think the officials in China even know that. They've made claims about how they're going to try to curb the inflation, how they're going to try to curb this excessive growth that's occurring, because they know it's not sustainable.
The growth gap between emerging economies and developed nations may be feeding on itself. Government figures show that between 1999 and 2008, U.S. multinationals slashed 1.1 million jobs in the United States and added 2.4 million overseas. The United States is benefiting from the overseas demand. Last year, the U.S. exported nearly $1.3 trillion worth of goods, a 21% rise from 2009. Mark Hamrick, The Associated Press.